You are listening to The Full Circle.
The night turned cold, the stars look down, and you hug yourself on the cold, cold ground. You wake the morning in a stranger's cold, no one would just see. You ask yourself, who'd watch for me, my only friend, who could it be? It's hard to say it, I hate to say it, but it's probably me. When your belly is empty, the hunger's so real, you're too proud to beg, you're too dumb to steal. You search the city for your only friend, no one would just see. You ask yourself, who could it be? A solitary voice speaking out, set me free. I hate to say it, I hate to say it, but it's probably me. You're not the easiest person I ever got to know, but it's hard for us both to let our feelings show. Some would say I should let you go your way, you only make me cry. But if there's one guy, just one guy, who would lay down his life for you and I had to say it, it's hard to say it, but it's probably me. When the world's gone crazy, it makes no sense. There's only one voice that comes to your defense. And the jury is out, and your eyes search the room. And the only friendly face is all you need to see. Oh, if there's just one guy who would lay down his life for you and I. It's hard to say it, it's hard to say it, but it's probably me. It's hard to say it, it's hard to say it, it's probably me. Oh, it's hard to say it, it's hard to say it, but it's probably me. Oh, I would lay down my life, I would lay down my life for you. Oh, hey, hey, it's hard to say it, 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 it's hard to say it. Whoa, hard to say it, oh, hard to say it, it's probably me. Probably me. It's probably me.
You're listening to The Full Circle on SFM. I'm Zai Khan, in for the fabulous Bridget Masinga. Kicking off with the soulful, very soulful man, Gregory Porter. And that was It's Probably Me. And if you ever felt like it's up to you to make a difference, you're in exactly the right place and at the right time. Speaking of time, it's 14 away from 1 o'clock. Coming up, what a great show we have for you. It's about how food waste and hunger don't go hand in hand. And that's right. We're going to unpack that and bring you so much more with the conversation between now and 3 o'clock. All right, you can also get into the action. You can WhatsApp us on 061-410-4107, SMS us 41391. That's R1.50 per SMS. Call us 086 000 2032. We're also live at SAFM Radio on X, so please, let's connect. So coming up, we'll talk about that, a game changer in solving hunger. We'll also have a last call for artists across the continent with the ABSA Atelier 2025 competition that's happening. And it's a countdown. You don't want to miss it, artists. And also we'll stay on the artistic team with the SA artists who are cashing in on the global online art scene. Yeah, if you're wondering what that is about, you could be missing a trick from your artistry arsenal. We'll tell you how you can be hopefully laughing all the way to the bank. And we'll end with a digital revolution. What digital capitalism and its limits means for the rest of us. So, buckle in. It's the Full Circle, where life comes together.
Do you want to study towards a tertiary qualification but need a flexible study schedule? Stadio Higher Education's distance learning qualifications offer just that. Our distance learning support is designed for your success. 2025 applications to Stadio's range of high-quality, affordable qualifications are now open. Distance learning qualifications are available in law, administration and management, commerce, teacher education, policing, law enforcement, humanities, and information technology. Visit stadio.ac.za and register today. Stadio, a new vision in higher education.
The Copper Queens and the Zebras want to test each other's strength. This is not just an international friendly, they are gearing up for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Witness the thrilling battle between Zambia and Botswana on Saturday 31 May at 3 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
After school snacks. A bag of chips or maybe some biscuits. Instant noodles for lunch. Ultra-processed products such as these may be high in sugar, salt, or saturated fat. Having too much of these products could lead to diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Our health is in danger. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front-of-package warning labels now. Sign the petition on heala.org. HEALA.org.
SAFM is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
Every year, over 10 million tons, that's right, you heard right, 10 million tons of food go to waste in South Africa, while nearly 20 million people are facing hunger. Now, bridging this gap takes more than just food. It takes a logistics revolution. Joining us now from SA Harvest is Cassandra Potgieter. She's the marketing manager there. And we'll start right at the beginning, Cassandra. Welcome to the show, by the way.
Thank you, Zai. It's a great honor to be here.
Listen, hunger, it's often seen as a food production issue. Why does SA Harvest see it as a logistic issue instead?
So, Zai, that's a very interesting question, and we actually answered that this weekend during the RFA convention, where a whole bunch of logistic companies come together to talk about this. Like you rightly pointed out, we have 10 million tons of food that go to waste. It's edible food. It's perfectly good food. It's nutritious. And it goes to waste because of the legislative framework and a lot of the times also the logistical hurdles of getting food to people in time before it goes off. And that's why we have the 10 million ton food waste in a juxtaposition with the 20 million people who have food insecurity in our country.
So the problem isn't scarcity, it's access. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely spot on. So in our first, we were started by our founder is Ellen Brody, who worked very closely with a woman called Zai Khan, who started Oz Harvest and who ran this model, but in line with their socioeconomic development issues for their market, and eventually overturned the legislation based on the framework that was used in France. So they've been very successful, and we then replicated this in 2019. We started with a bucky, and we delivered a crate of croissants in 2019.
It reminds me of Marie Antoinette. Let them eat. This time, not cake, but croissants.
Croissants, there we go.
Oh, wow. What other kinds of food are most commonly rescued and then repurposed?
So believe it or not, what happens so we do it across the supply chain. But where we're focusing on at the moment is actually in terms of we do it in terms of production and then also manufacturing. So in other words, we go to agri. People who grow crops have surplus. And when you're a farmer in the middle of nowhere and there's surplus crop, it's quite something to load. For instance, we got 70 tons. I don't know if you can picture this. 70 tons of sweet potato. So just thinking about what this looks like and how that needs to get moved, we then we get the phone call, hi, we've got all of this sweet potato, it can't go to market, we can't sell it, and it's going to go off. We need to get it distributed. So then instead of just our trucks arriving, we also activate a logistics network through the RFA, where they contribute underutilized resources in the sense of empty return legs, where if a truck is going to pass by there, they can do that load for us and then get a Section 18A certificate. But that way, we're not paying for that, and it's reaching a destination in terms of the community-based organizations that we feed.
That speaks about that smart, purpose-driven partnerships that you guys were looking into. And this is what it looks like in practice.
Yes. This is literally what happens. And I'll be honest with you, this is not a feel-good Hollywood story in the sense that, oh, wow, now all the logistics are sorted. What happened is a truck would arrive at a community. They don't have forklifts to offload. They don't have fancy equipment. You will literally see a community forming a human chain and everyone getting involved distributing that food.
And was there any particular communities that benefited most? I know you also had a 200,000 kg butternut situation.
Yes, so just to give you an idea, this is fresh vegetables. This is vegetables that's perfectly good to eat. It's nutritious, and so when we have that happening, the communities that we serve at the moment are in Gauteng, KZN, Cape Town, in the Western Cape, and then also we are working towards, we've done quite a few projects with the Daily Maverick in Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape, as well as Nelson Mandela Bay.
Now, you mentioned earlier ESG and Section 18A incentives.
Yes.
Is that helping grow other partner networks? How does that all play a part?
So the incredible thing is that instead of looking at this as just a food and hunger solution, we took it one step further, and yes, we mentioned that it's a logistics solution. But you know what, Zai, the actual thing that we're building here is a multi-sector food ecosystem. What does that look like? It's cold chain, it's an infrastructure of vehicles, warehouses, digital systems. So in each part of that, someone steps forward and says, hey, you know what, we can do this part. And in return, we give them the tax incentive in terms of the Section 18A. And also, believe it or not, people believe in doing the right thing. So doing good is good for business.
And also there's an environmental impact, there's a social impact.
Huge. Yes.
You're also encouraging long-term collaboration.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I had a very interesting conversation on that. And someone said to me, oh, yes, it's because of government. And I said, look, you need to understand that we work with a lot of parties in terms of this. This is people coming together for people. And a lot of the times we actually get great support from municipalities in terms of whatever they can offer. This is not waiting for the solution to come, but saying, okay, how do we come together to move the food that can feed people?
And I mean, do you offer sort of smaller companies? Are there barriers for them, or are they getting involved in this as well?
Believe it or not, everyone on every level, whether it's someone who comes to help hand it out, or or people donating the 200 tons of food, it's across the board. Where it gets a little bit tricky is we can't accept smaller donations in terms of cooked food, for instance. So restaurants, there's a little bit tricky in terms of legislation for food that's been processed already. So the key thing to remember is we actually work with food that still needs to be cooked by the community-based organizations that we send it to.
Mm-hmm. And then the role of local farmers. Then you've also got producers.
Huge.
What else? I mean, in terms of, support or training for the smaller guys to also help them engage in your ecosystem, as you put it.
So, interestingly, we would get, just go back to the sustainability thing and how that ties in. So a lot of large corporations have environmental and social governance compliance that they need to report on, right? So your ESGs. And then that comes with a budget. And when they collaborate with us, we go and we say, okay, so if we can't rescue food in a certain area, but they have beneficiaries that needed support in that area, and we vetted them and we say, okay, this is how many people are there, this is what it looks like, can they handle the food if we do deliver it there, that kind of thing. What happens is we can literally source from smaller local farmers that wouldn't have sold that produce to begin with, which is also a logistical issue, access to market and that kind of thing.
And also, I would imagine you don't want to be just handling out food sporadically, but also you want to ensure people know when, where, how to access it. How is that in process?
So what we do is we developed a vetting app, and when we launched it earlier this year, somehow people thought it felt like it was a punitive thing, and it took quite a lot of messaging to say, guys, this is not to find fault with what's going on. This is to give us a map of where help is needed. To put that into context, we have 243 vetted organizations. That means we know exactly when they feed, who they feed, where they are, how often they get what. We have a nutritional scorecard that allocated to an ECD versus an old age home. They need different things. So the food that comes in gets distributed accordingly. And so that's what we're managing. On our waiting list, we've got 3,000 community-based organizations that still need help. And in an earlier conversation, I said to someone, look, you need to understand that it's an overwhelming thing, but if we can start mapping the need, so if we can understand who needs what, then we have examples where someone would say, you know what, we actually needed our people need to sleep on mattresses on the floor. They don't have beds. And we say, you know what, we actually know people who would be able to help them. We put them in contact, and the next day 40 beds are delivered. I mean, that's the power of knowing and saying, not only are we connected in terms of food, but when you have almost a clear view of who needs what, then that thing about how to make a difference becomes a lot clearer, because it's overwhelming. Knowing that there are 3,000 CBOs that need help is not enough. What do they need help with?
And exactly, but how does having this app solve the process? Are there dedicated team leaders in a community that have access to this app? Because I would imagine not all and sundry have access to the technology, the data, costs, all of that to access your offering. Very good point. So what we did is we are in phase one of collecting the data, and our aim is what we're doing is we started with, it's a two-prong vetting process. We have so in order to have the community-based organization as an organization vetted, are you registered? Do you have the relevant documentation? What do your kitchens look like? Do you know how to handle food? Do you need education around it? And so it's that element. And then also vetting of the beneficiaries that receive food from that organization. What we did now is we started with a pilot project in Gauteng, KZN, and in the Western Cape, where we want to see what the first round of data is going to reveal around it, because we took it one step further above that and also incorporated the needs assessment into it. And then later, our hope is actually to make this data available to people, to say, guys,
because our model works is we are very much in touch with our organizations. It's not like we just drop, it's not a stop, drop and roll. We interact, we work with them. We also check if there's anything else that they need. And obviously there's always a need, but it's just also connecting the right people to the right resources in the ecosystem.
And that means dignified and consistent access, because that's the context we want about, giving people good quality food with respect.
Absolutely. It's not just your normal philanthropy model. It's not a donation. It's and that's why we made such a huge hoo-ha. Just bringing it back to the trucks is the fact that we can distribute this food in a dignified manner, where it's not people coming to ask for a handout. It's organizations that we're working up. How are you building up? How you impact the community around you? What can we do to help you with that?
I'm going to hold that thought and explore more with you. This is Cassandra Potgieter, Marketing Manager of SA Harvest. We're going to head to the news headlines at 1:30. And when we come back, we'll tap into how this program is growing.
Good afternoon, I'm Kulufelo. Therefore, in the headlines this hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa has signed a proclamation for the Special Investigating Unit to investigate allegations of maladministration and corruption at the Sector Education and Training Authority. The police have deployed specialized units to prevent any further bloodshed in the small town of Adu in the Eastern Cape after a weekend of violence claimed 4 lives. It is alleged that a number of foreign nationals killed a local man during a fight at a tavern on Saturday night. And the legal representative of Ace Magashule's former PA, Morwadi Cholota, has argued in the Free State High Court that the state failed to prove the legality and lawfulness of Cholota's extradition. I'll have details of this and other stories at 2.
This May, SAFM celebrates Africa Month with you as we honor the legacy of the Organization of African Unity. We bring you rich conversations and the vibrant sounds of Africa. Music that moves the soul. This is SAFM. Stay on top of all meaningful, top trending stories right here on SAFM. Leading the conversation.
Welcome back to the Full Circle with me, Zai Khan. And if you've just joined us, we're deep in conversation with Cassandra Potgieter, Marketing Manager from SA Harvest. We've been exploring how food rescue logistics are transforming hunger relief in South Africa. And there's still more to unpack because, when food doesn't reach people, then the system, there's a challenge there. And Cassandra and her team are helping fix it one truckload at a time. Cassandra, if you had, one bold dream for SA Harvest over the next 5 years, what would it be and how can we help?
So I know this is counterintuitive, but our ultimate aim, even though our logo says rescue food and end hunger, our ultimate aim is to make SA Harvest obsolete. We want hunger to end. Which is a bit random. I'm talking myself out of a job. But the reality of it is that if we can have a community, and I'm talking about a national community that can plug into our solution for this hunger. So we make logistics smarter, we collaborate, it becomes more impactful. If you can get food to children who can then no longer have stunting and who can start learning, who can have skills that develop, who can become entrepreneurs, who become business owners, who start feeding into our economy. Can you imagine what that universe looks like for all of us?
And I mean, this becomes, I hope this becomes like a part of a public policy as well.
Absolutely. So eventually we do hope for that. Our sister organisation, Union Against Hunger, is also driving that impact. Alan Brody, who founded SA Harvest, has in between stepped down and said, okay, you guys know what the goal is, go run this operation, and he then joined Union Against Hunger for that. But it's going to be a slow process because legislative changes, we know how long that wheel takes to turn. But what we can do in the meantime is that we can make sure surplus food goes where it needs to be.
Well, I mean, it's still the dream, right? And with the right partners, a dream might just be within reach.
Oh, but you know what? And it's not just hope. I've seen people who really, the light goes on and they say, but we can make a difference in terms of this. So like I said before, from a mattress that gets delivered, we're in the food business. We don't know anything about sleep or anything like that, but knowing that there are people who said, you know what, I can make a difference this way, and build up that community who needed that orphanage, who needed those mattresses, the people who needed a new child centre that needed to be developed and built up and painted, GBV centres that get supplied with clothes. We're part of that process, but it's bigger than just the food element. It's really people coming together and saying, you know what, we can make a difference, and this is how we can do it.
Food and sleep, two of, I think, the most basic needs that you would need ever.
Exactly.
So from farms to fridges to food to sleep, I think you are right there in the front line where you should be. Thank you for the incredible work you and your team are doing at SA Harvest, and for reminding us that, hunger is a system problem and there is a solution.
Thank you, Zai. I appreciate this opportunity so much. But I would like to point out, I always say to my team, I have the cheat job in the sense that I get to talk about it, but there's a whole engine of really dedicated partners and employees who really believe in what we're doing. And they just change the world a little bit every day.
Thank you so much. There we go. Cassandra Potgieter, Marketing Manager, SA Harvest. So from nourishing the body, we've also got something to feed the soul even more. The ABSA L'Atelier 2025 competition is back. It's calling artists across the continent. And we're going to speak to, I think it's Dr. Paul Bayliss, that's right, about how your story could become the canvas for the world. Yeah, the entire world to see. That's right after this.
Did you hear that? That's the sound of your car about to cost you a lot of money. Sorry. The engine noise you should be hearing is the boat on your upcoming diving trip. But don't let cash flow hold you back. Do both. Get a Nedbank personal loan of up to 400,000 Rand. Apply online at nedbank.co.za today. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The Meeting Point with Koketso Sachane.
There's a number of other areas that you did touch on as part of your report back, Mayor, but your focus as well, together with your executive, is around the reclaiming of hijacked buildings in the city of Tshwane. How much of an issue is it?
It's bad. And the reason why it was important, we took advantage of the fact that we were seeing media anyway, so we invited them to come and see. So basically, again, this is negligence, where we've got assets of the city that no one is monitoring, to a point where there are shacks inside. The gentleman who says he's a caretaker, they says he's been staying there from 2014. We're not getting rental from that. We don't know who's occupying it.
It's one Executive Mayor, Dr. Nasipi Moya.
The Meeting Point, Wednesdays and Thursdays. SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily.
Welcome back. Time is ticking. Literally, time is ticking. It is edging to about 22 minutes to 2 o'clock. And if you are a visual artist, time is also ticking because we've got the ABSA L'Atelier 2025 competition. It could be your moment, but if you miss it, you miss out. Dr. Paul Bayliss, he's the Senior Specialist Art and Museum Curator at ABSA, joining us to tell us why you shouldn't miss this deadline, artists. Welcome, Dr. Paul.
Good afternoon, Zai, and good afternoon to your listeners.
It's so exciting. You've got this iconic Absa Atelier that's happening not just in South Africa, but across Africa. What makes it so iconic?
Yes, and I think before we even go, time is ticking on this one. I think what and I'm going to just throw it out there before to say, artists have until, this week, Friday, 30th of May to enter. And I think I'm putting that out first because I'm going to follow it up to say to answer your question, to say what makes it so iconic is it is a pan-African art tradition. And for any artist that is really serious about their art career, who wants to get noticed, this is a unique opportunity, because for those artists that come through it, we position them literally across the continent and showcase their talent and allow them to tell their stories.
And they get to tell their stories, but you also provide young artists with mentorship, international residencies, visibility. There's more to this than just showcasing your art.
Very much so, and I think unlike other competitions out there, we say to the artists, your journey with Absa only starts once you are awarded that prize. Mm-hmm. You walk off, as you indicated, you get a 4-month mentorship program with a leading arts authority from your own community, your own country. You put through 11 master classes, with leading art practitioners from literally around the globe. Mm-hmm. And those are really not focused on art practice in itself, but focused on the business side of art, enabling you, empowering you as an artist to take your career forward. They give you a 2-month international residency. And lastly, and I think this is probably almost a cherry on top, is each of the winning artists get granted a solo exhibition in their home country. All costs towards that exhibition, including material costs, are covered by Absa and our partners. And, all proceeds from the sale of those artworks through those exhibitions go back into the artist's pocket.
Wow. So who qualifies and how can we enter?
Whether you are professionally trained, whether you are self-taught, I think to any of your listeners out there that think they have an inclination and say, I am the next Picasso out there, or the next William Kentridge, we are saying to you, enter the Absa Atelier. It's one way of getting noticed. It's one way of you saying you're taking your career forward. The only limiting factor, unfortunately, like any other competition, there are always constraints. There is an age limit. You have to be 21 through to 40 years of age to enter it.
Aha. And there's a special award called the Gerard Sekoto Award, and that's for South African artists only.
Correct. So any South African artist, 25 through to 35, and that's in partnership with FNAVA, the French Embassy in South Africa, and IFAS. And the wonderful thing about that particular prize is that artist gets to spend 3 months at a residency in Paris, France. All costs covered. We fly them there. They have access to all the museums and cultural institutions as well that they can visit in the 3 months. And then upon their return, that artist is again given a solo exhibition with the Absa Gallery in South Africa. So it is really a wonderful opportunity, a wonderful canvas for the artists to visually share their story with us.
And are you seeing any identity-driven themes this year? Is there a theme this year? Are you seeing more political stuff, perhaps?
There's a lot, I think there's so much happening both globally and across the continent. And what one is finding is artists do give their voice to what they see around us, but it also tends to be very much regional, if I can call it that, as I. So, in some of the countries, we're finding the artists talking more towards their own identity and how they fit in within the broader community. In other countries, there is a strong political narrative coming through those works and things like that. And others, and I think very much just to your the previous discussion you had, around food security and almost one's well-being of every day. that is also a very strong point that is coming through from a number of the artists in terms of how they find their survival and manage day to day with the daily grind of things.
That question, or that adage of art imitating life or life imitating art scenario?
I think it's very much, artists are very, shall we say, to the point in terms of sharing with us, making us aware of matters that really matter to them. And I think in many respects, they're using their voices to speaking from a collective point of view in terms of what is happening in society and things like that. And I think that's the wonderful world of the arts. And the beauty of it is often you come across work that you might feel a slight discomfort to, or it might make you question certain things. And I think when the artist is doing that, the artist is really on point with getting their message across.
And also, you not expect, but if it grants a reaction, even better. And I like that the fact that art has no borders at all, and this competition over the years seems to prove that.
Very much so. Art is a universal language, but one of the things about the Atelier, we're now in its 39th year, it is about identifying young artistic talent from across the continent. I think that's the first. But secondly, it's about celebrating the richness of talent we have. So often we don't look to what is in our own backyard, and we've got such a wealth of artistic talent, artists, creatives out there. And what the Atelier does is about celebrating that talent and allowing those individuals a platform to shine on the global stage.
So whether you're painting from a rooftop in Nairobi or you are printmaking in the heart of Joburg, this story of yours deserves to be seen. Dr. Paul Bayliss, thank you for your passion and for opening doors for the next generation of artists.
Thank you, Zai, and a big thank you to your listeners. And as I mentioned, they have until this Friday to upload the entries onto the Atelier website and to submit them for the 2025 competition.
And that's the 31st of May. You don't want to miss it. We've got a lot of creative things happening behind the scene. We've got the Artist Proof Studio coming up next. That's right, Artist Proof Studio, to find out how South African artists are breaking into the global market, one digital sale at a time.
Hey Zama, have you submitted our employer reconciliation declaration?
Oh no, not yet. I thought I'd leave it for next week.
If we comply, it makes it easier for our employees to get accurate tax assessments. It will be even faster now that SARS has the new Easy File Employer version 8. Employers, make tax matters your priority number 1. Submit your annual employer reconciliation declaration by 31 May 2025. Your tax matters, so does your time. SARS, at your service. A new client, a bulk discount, a chance to expand. Business opportunities don't wait, but with a Standard Bank Business Revolving Loan, neither do you. Get up to 10 million Rand in funding, access it anytime, and borrow again as you repay, giving your business the cash flow it needs when it needs it. Keep your business growing with a Standard Bank Business Revolving Loan. Visit standardbank.co.za/business loans to apply. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Living your best life on the Full Circle.
All right, that's exactly how we like to position the day, the show, the moment, and it's all about artists today. You have to know this, that your canvas can go digital because South African artists are selling to the world. Joining us from the Artist Proof Studio is Renilwe Matibe, here to talk about how artists are owning their voice and their value online. Renilwe is the Marketing and Communications Manager. Welcome to the show, Renilwe.
Hi, Zai. Thank you so much for having me.
Artist Proof Studio. I love that. What is it?
So we are a community printmaking studio based in Johannesburg. We run a 3-year program in printmaking because we only specialize in printmaking.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a professional print studio where artists can come and collaborate with us. And we also have a gallery where we showcase our student and alumni work, but also have an online shop where people can actually go and purchase. So we are 3 things that happen in one, basically.
So let me understand you. You're combining mentorship, training, and exposure to global markets.
Yes, exactly.
And what are some of the names when I log in online that I can say, hey, these are the ones to watch out for coming out of Artist Proof Studio?
So our graduates are like Lebohang Motaung, who's done very well in her career. We also have Caesar Koza. We've got Tokozani Madonsela. And then our early graduates that graduated like 2-3 years ago, we've got Jason Langa. We've got Kumo Ramaila. And there's many more that are coming up, actually, that are showing really good progress.
Mm-hmm. And
yes.
How does going digital change the way artists are now selling their work?
So I think after COVID, we realized that we really needed to put our work on the digital space because galleries were not open. People couldn't visit and actually see the physical artwork. So our digital footprint had to be observed, and we started an online shop where we could publish our students and alumni artworks online, where people can actually go in and read about the artist and also purchase the art directly from our online. But also we've gained a lot of traffic around art fairs because we do participate in those, the Cape Town Art Fair, and recently now the R&B Latitudes Art Fair, and then later in the year there'll be the Joburg Art Fair. So it's really important for us to also reach those spaces because we have a variety of artists. We also have a variety of works from different price points. So your graduates that are affordable work, and then your more collectible, established artist works.
And have you seen online sales growing? Are there buyers from Houston or Honduras, like you said? They can buy directly from your site.
Yes, so we are an international online shop. People from all around the world can purchase from us. We also like to collaborate with other galleries overseas. So last year we had an exhibition in China and another one in the US. So we really try and make the prints accessible to everyone, really. Even if you are just like a starting collector, like you're buying prints for the first time, or you are like a vase collector who has been in the art for a long time. So we cater to everyone.
And so do artists then manage the back-end logistics, or do you assist with that as well?
So because we don't really sign artists up, so we don't have a contract with artists. We only have contracts when they publish with us. So if an artist is signed with other galleries, we also allow them to come and print because we're not exclusive to the collaboration. So if artists want to come and print, they do that. But in terms of the back end of the thing, we manage the whole marketing, the publishing, and everything. So we kind of bridge the gap between like a white cube gallery, but also push the sales online and physical because we collaborate with a lot of spaces. We currently have an exhibition at the R&B offices in Johannesburg and Sandton, and consignees are across the country where people can actually reach the work that we have, even if it's just online, because it's also nice to see the actual work. So yeah, we support our artists in that way. And 90% of the artists that we showcase are actually from the education program. So we really support them even way after they graduate.
And what are the international buyers looking for when they buy from South African artists? What are they drawn to?
Yeah, so it was very interesting this past weekend because it was the R&B Latitudes, and there were a lot of international people that came to visit our booth. I think people are looking for stories that they can connect to. They're looking for meaning in the work, but also like originality. So if you connect with the artist, if you connect with the work that they're making, I think our like African art is really growing in terms of like our themes are different from other countries. Themes like identity, like culture, politics, and also just personal experiences of like what the artist is talking about in their work. So yeah, we also bring like fresh perspectives and powerful stories. So people are really interested in the stories.
And you know, South Africans, we have a way of telling our stories so honestly.
Yes. Yes.
And that for me is a unique selling point, because we just have a way about speaking to the world with that bold honesty.
Yes.
Sorry, Renee, continue.
Oh, I was gonna echo that. Like our artists have different experiences. At the end of the day, everyone has their voice, and through the education program, we really try to hone that voice and make it original and authentic as well. Because once you start talking about your work as an artist, it has to come from somewhere. You know, it can't just come from fluff. So the work is personal. Sometimes the work is political, but it's their views also, and they share the views with people.
Oh man! And talking about the business end, how are we priced? Are we priced competitively in the global market?
So I think we are. I mean, in terms of the economy right now being very difficult for everyone, I think with us, because we don't necessarily look at established artists only, we try to grow our artists from way up. So from once they graduate, our prices, like our price points start from, let's say, 800 Rand per print. And because we do printmaking, there's additions. So, for instance, one artist could have like one artwork, but with like 10 editions. So it's very sustainable also for them as their career grow, because there's not just one painting or one drawing. It's an addition of prints that they can also sell, and we can also put out there. But in terms of like the market and like the pricing, we always encourage them to look at their career and look at like where they were when they graduated, and then how they've been doing in their career. Because, for instance, if you were to graduate and then the following day you have a solo, then your pricing goes up a little bit, depending on like how consistent and people look like for your work. So if you are not producing, for instance, galleries are always looking for that. And I think also with the online, artists are really clever about putting their work on social media, where I see galleries looking for to see if the artist is consistent and they're continuing with their practice. So the value of work also depends on the artist's journey. Like, are they consistent? Are they really working through their journey to, become the Nelson Makamo, to become the Mary Sibandes?
I mean, speaking of Mary Sibandes, William Kentridge, you've got a bit of a balancing act there. How do you showcase all the big names while still nurturing the newbies?
So, for instance, with our art fairs, we try to have 2 shows. So because they would be like the VIP nights and then for the public. So for the VIP nights, we focus on the more established artists, and then the weekend we do our graduates and collaborating artists, depending on like which where they are in their career. Because we noticed that for the VIP night, people are looking. It's more collectors that are looking for the names of like established artists like Mary. And then for the weekend shows, it's more people that are starting to collect, so they're not sure to like drop a 10K on a print, so it's like the price points need to be a little bit below 10K. So that's what we do. We change our show depending on the market and the people, the audience.
And what advice now would you give to artists who may not feel ready to go global, for example?
So, I mean, I know it can be daunting sometimes, but I think consistency and believing in your craft, because I feel like as artists, we tend to really doubt ourselves a lot because the work is very personal and it can be emotional sometimes to put your work out there, to be doubting yourself, like how people are going to receive your work. But I think believing in what you are gifted with, believing in your craft, believing in what you're doing, and it's also important to share with people because then you can get different perspectives on how are people receiving you. So I think the doubting and the not being sure of if you're doing it right or not should be lessened a little bit and actually just push whatever you're pushing.
I like that. And wherever you are, you keep your authenticity going as well, because the world is looking for real stories. And let me tell you, we here in South Africa have plenty of those real stories. So Renilwe, I mean, this is exciting times. Where to from here for your organization and for artists? What are you looking at next? Tech infrastructure, using, AI? Is there projections of that in the future?
I mean, for right now, I can't really talk for things like NFTs because we haven't, we haven't delved into that yet. But in terms of AI, I think it's really exciting. It's an exciting tool first before we, because I know there's a lot of noise around it and different perspectives around how people are using AI. But I think it's a useful tool, especially in the creative spaces. I mean, it can help you generate ideas, new techniques, editing your images, and also exploring other mediums that you might not have access to. So I think using it as a tool, not as the sole thing to kind of do the work for you, because you still have to have that authenticity and the originality. So, I mean, I'm excited about the AI and the future of NFTs, and yeah.
I'm sure we're going to have another conversation with you on that. We're going to pause this one for now. Thank you again, Renilwe Matibe.
Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.
Yeah, what can I say? Spotlighting the power of South African art on a global stage. Yeah, time to catch up now with what's happening globally and in our country. Here's Kulufelo Tefu with the news.
Thank you, Zai. Top stories. The Sawa Ramaphosa orders corruption probe at SETA and residents left devastated by weekend violence in Adu. Good afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa has signed a proclamation for the Special Investigating Unit, SIU, to investigate allegations of maladministration and corruption at the Sector Education and Training Authority. Recently, the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane, withdrew the appointment of SETA board chairpersons after outrage about the appointment process and allegations of political interference. The publication of the proclamation, which paves the way for the start of the probe, is dated 16th of May 2025. The investigation will also look at unlawful conduct by any person within the institution who might have caused serious harm to the interests of the public. In other news, the police have deployed specialized units to prevent any further bloodshed in the small town of Ado in the Eastern Cape after a weekend of violence claimed 4 lives. It is alleged that a number of foreign nationals killed a local man during a fight at a tavern on Saturday night. It is further alleged that the locals retaliated yesterday, leading to 3 more deaths. Residents are still traumatized by what transpired in the streets.
Something like this has never happened before. I feel sorry for my daughter who saw all of it happen. She's not okay. I even asked if my son was going to school today and he said no. He's still too traumatized. I hope he'll be okay by tomorrow.
That's okay.
to the courts. The legal representative for Ace Magashula's former PA, Morwadi Chulota, has argued in the Free State High Court that the state failed to prove the legality and lawfulness of Chulota's extradition. Advocate Loyiso Makapela has argued in the trial within a trial in the asbestos roofing case that the state failed on 6 attempts to convince the U.S. authority that they were probable cause to extradite and intentionally provided misleading information to the U.S. authority. Makapela refuted claims by the state that the defense failed to bring their own witnesses and contends that the state provided 2 witnesses who were not directly involved in the extradition process. She says the state failed to prove that the extradition was lawful. The sole survivor of the fire that killed 6 family members, including a 1-year-old at the Marikana informal settlement in Kwatemba, Ekurhuleni, is being treated in hospital after sustaining critical burn wounds. Emergency services responded to the blaze in the early hours of the morning. The survivor, a 7-year-old girl, was privately transported to the nearest hospital for further medical treatment. Ekurhuleni Emergency Services spokesperson William Ntladi.
Out of the entire family, one of them was actually managed to be saved by members of the community that took her to a medical facility for further medical treatment because she sustained intense burn wounds all over the body, almost about 100% burn wounds.
And finally, further afield, the Japanese government is to release an extra 3,000 tons of rice from its stockpiles to bring down sky-high prices. The issue has become a major concern for consumers. Crop damage from extreme heat and increasing demand from tourism have contributed to a surge in rice prices. The BBC's Mickey Bristow has the details.
The government has already released several batches from its stockpiles, but the price of rice, which has doubled in a year, has not come down. This time the rice will go straight to retailers to cut down on bureaucracy and get it onto shop shelves more quickly. Rising prices are undermining support for the Japanese government. Its reputation was further damaged last week when the agriculture minister was forced to resign for saying he was given so much rice that he didn't have to buy any.
The top story, the SAWA President Cyril Ramaphosa has signed a proclamation for the Special Investigating Unit to investigate allegations of maladministration and corruption at the Sector Education and Training Authority. The investigation will also look at unlawful conduct by any person within the institution who might have caused serious harm to the interests of the public. Headlines at 2:30 for SAFM News. I'm Kolofelo Defo.
Marawai, why did you think you could change your tire when you've never even changed a light bulb successfully? Marawai, why not switch to Santam and get 24/7 roadside assistance to get you moving again? Choose the insurer with cover options that suit your needs. Call 0860 444 444 or SMS cover to 36101. Santam. This is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer and controlling company for its group companies.
The Copper Queens and the Zebras want to test each other's strength. This is not just an international friendly, they are gearing up for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Witness the thrilling battle between Zambia and Botswana on Saturday 31 May at 3 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Planet Earth, third planet from the sun. A cool place within the solar system where you can pause and take a deep breath without your lungs exploding. Home to an amazing array of wildlife and amazing landscapes that will leave you breathless either through wonder or fear. For humans, it's a place they call home, the only one that they have now. Team Surai follows a dedicated group of individuals dedicated to protecting the planet. Their mission: to encourage viewers to take concrete steps to protect the Earth. Catch Team Surai Thursdays at 6 p.m. S3, open up. S3.
This May, SAFM celebrates Africa Month with you As we honor the legacy of the Organization of African Unity, we bring you rich conversations and stories that shape the continent. Join us as we celebrate African pride, unity, and progress. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Africa is where my heart lies.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 104.6 FM in Kimberley.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
Melodiku kandi buyelela ndifuna ukuphumelela kodwa ndibonindo kuthala ndizisamela ndiku kandi buyelela ndifuna ukuphumelela kodwa ndibonindo uyahamba ngapindlela ebheke empumelelweni kuthiwa ingakweli cala kodwa ndibonindo uyahamba ngapindlela ebheke empumelelweni kuthiwa ingakweli cala kodwa ndibonindo. Melodiku kandi buyelela ndifuna ukuphumelela kodwa ndibonindo kudala ndisiza melodiku kandi buyelela ndifuna ukuphumelela kodwa ndibonindo uyahamba ngapindlela ebheke empumelelweni kuthiwa ingakweli cala kodwa ndibonindo. Dibonido kutwa ingakweli cala kodwa 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 dibonindo ihamba ngapindlela ebheke empumelelweni kuthiwa ingakweli cala kodwa ndibonindo.
Impumelelo by Mandisi Diantis. A reminder, man, that success doesn't always shout. Sometimes it sings. It sings loud and proud, okay? And speaking about singing our successes, our next guest is all about shifting gears at the top from creativity, I think, to corporate courage. We're joined by boardroom strategist Dudu Msomi, who says the issue isn't a lack of talent, but a lack of guts. What does it mean? Well, that conversation is moments away.
After school snacks, a bag of chips or maybe some biscuits, instant noodles for lunch. Ultra-processed products such as these may be high in sugar, salt, or saturated fat. Having too much of these products could lead to diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Our health is in danger. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels now. Sign the petition on healer.org. HEALA.org.
Your nights just got a turbo boost. Buckle up because at 10 p.m. it's all thrill, mystery, and pure entertainment. Mondays to Wednesdays, we are back on the track with Top Gear Season 14, where speed meets insanity and the world's wildest cars get pushed to their limits. On Thursdays, we uncover the truth in Imposter, Back from the Dead. Season 1 kicks off with chilling twists in a tale of deception, survival, and secrets long buried. Fridays, we take a deep dive into the unknown with Secrets of the Bermuda, exploring the myths, the disappearances, and the terrifying truth behind the world's most infamous triangle. 3 explosive shows, 1 unforgettable hour. It all starts at 10 p.m. only on S3. Don't miss it!
With the ever-changing financial landscape, it can be difficult to make sense of all the moves at times. Join me, Jimmy Moyaha, on the SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb, Mondays to Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m, as we break down the key market trends, top financial stories, and smart investment insights, all in one place. It's everything you need to stay financially informed and ahead of the curve. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
Living your best life on the Full Circle.
14:14, that's 14 minutes past 2 o'clock. That's what the clock is saying. And we're looking at the clock in terms of corporate leadership, which apparently there isn't a lack of talent, but a lack of courage. That's the claim from strategist and academic. And it's Dudu Msomi who's challenging the stale thinking around boardrooms across South Africa. Welcome to the show, Dudu.
Hey, guys.
Wow, you are a transformative leadership and board development program designer. That's like a title by design.
It is by design. Because it is nice to be a creator of your own destiny, isn't it?
Oh,
as much as you can. So I try very much to use the creative spirits that we've been born with.
Oh, man. And you're challenging a lot of thinking at the moment right now, especially in the boardrooms across South Africa. What is this about?
Well, we are living longer. That is the reality. In terms of the medical and health advancements, we are able now to not think living to 100 and 120 is a dream. For the next generation, that's going to be their reality. So the retirement ages that we used to have, I was just talking to someone now who's saying in her company the retirement age is 60. When you are 20, 60 looks very far. When you get to 30 and 40, you're like, that's around the corner. But the reality is that even our economies globally cannot support us retiring early, because then our retirement funding is not enough to have us last the next 50 and sometimes 60 years on what? So the idea that some boards, I was talking in the context of boards particularly, who are now changing some retirement ages from 70 to 75, that is fine. I find that's quite reasonable, especially when people still are cognitively alert. That is reasonable, but we mustn't use the shortage of skill as an excuse. We have enough skills. It is a matter of, it is prudent for us to relook at the age because of other advancements, not because we've been using that pre-1994. We cannot keep on using that excuse as a reason why we keep certain people retaining certain skills and not promoting and looking for new talent.
So we know boards, they tend to cling to some sort of familiarity, they avoid risk. And it's so easy to say, you know what, listen to this person, they're not ready. They're not ready. So, so how are we shifting this mindset at that level?
It is that is part of the challenge. It's not only just about not ready. We have, in the past, we used to call it the boys' club. We used to call it the old boys' club, where, and it was the case that they came from the similar kinds of schools, and then they would refer each other into board positions. Post-94, there was a new entrant, which was the so-called, in inverted commas, and in reality, the black category, which is the Indian, colored, and African. But even within that category, the most likely people to get a lot of positions, especially in listed companies and prominent companies, will be the politically connected. And again, the positions will rotate. So you'll find people sitting on 7 to 10, 12 boards, and you're like thinking, how are you able to even get through the work in order to be able to be effective and add value? So it is about the referral system that is still causing opportunities not to be opened up.
And I mean, Dudu, you don't want to discount people's experience. That is valuable. But you also want relevance, especially in a rapidly evolving world.
Yeah, because the world we had just a second ago has gone, right?
Yes, blink
it's already
and you
gone.
missed it.
We now have to always be very comfortable with discomfort. That is the way of the future. We talk about the VUCA and the Barney world, and people can look at what those mean. But nothing is predictable. Nothing is certain anymore. And the skill set, I mean, 3 years ago, did we panic about AI? I don't remember us panicking about AI. And now everybody's talking about AI. Is AI going to take over? Is AI going to take over my job? Because new developments come as technology advances, new things come. And also, we also as individuals have to keep up to breath. So it's not always about age, because sometimes I think people think some of these conversations are about ageism. It is not about age. It's also about your knowledge and skill set. That in the world that you're living in, are you keeping abreast? In fact, most of the time you should be before the curve. Before it happens, you already should be working towards the skill set that you know that is going to be required in the future.
I see where you're going with this, because there's an element in what you speak about, that generational diversity that could be brought into the boardroom. Tell us a bit about that. Even the tech savviness sometimes, we don't all know it all. Like you said now, what you knew a second ago is gone.
Yeah, and it's not always about age. I mean, I used to always laugh. I have a mentoring program, which is called the Busara Leadership Mentoring Journey. And you can imagine, a lot of my mentees are possibly 20 years younger than me.
Oh, wow.
But you will find that even with the younger generation, they're not always tech savvy. We assume that people have been born into the world of technology, smartphones, that they don't always use them the way they could use them. So generational diversity is critical, because also exposure. Experiences are different. Different perspectives are important. Just like gender, race, all the different educational, there is so much diversity that needs to be part of the thinking, the critical thinking that is helping us to develop the world that we're in. So now already, it's almost like people are tired of millennials. They're already talking about the alpha generation. We're always looking at what is happening next, but a whole mix of people, the constructive conflict, because remember, with the different generations, you're going to have conflict. But what you want is constructive, creative conflict, because ultimately you want positive outcomes to come out of that positive conflict. But diversity, when I also talk in terms of the board, I'm talking about industries. There is no reason why you as a broadcaster should not be on the board of an FMCG, because you also have something to add. But the way we are recruiting at this point, that's not what we're looking at. We look at what is the track record you have, what's the experience you have.
So it would then begs the next question: what practical steps can nomination committees take now?
They, first of all, need to keep up to date with just always scanning the environment. Part of what happens is most of the time they start recruiting when a position is going to be available. And by that time, they're under pressure to fill the position. So when you're under pressure to fill the position, the referral is what is safe, because I know somebody, I tap somebody, it's easier because I know them. If the nomination committee actually becomes, I think I've heard it was the guy who does the diary of the CEO. I just saw a clip of him like last time saying, actually his job is recruitment. That's all he has to do, finding the best talent. So it's every day. So committees must always ask to be exposed to as many profiles as possible, even when there are no positions, so that they are always scanning the environment. So when the positions are available, they're not under pressure. But also to go beyond the usual. They usually go to the usual executive search companies who tend to look at people with high profile. You have to look at the competencies that you want, and those are not always going to be obvious in the people with high profile. They may be prominent, but it does not mean that they really have the right skills. Because sometimes when they are around the boardroom, you look at this person, you think, oh my gosh, and this is the person that is touted as my role model, and they can barely go through cybersecurity or understand. Now we are talking about ESG. They can't even keep up with anything. So prominence does not mean you are the right person for the job.
100%. Now, have you seen or do you know of this being done anywhere successfully in South Africa, what you speak of?
Yeah, I'm sure there are boards that do it. I must say, but I'm going to be very partial to it. Even institutions like the South African Reserve Bank, they send out invites for new positions, and they're always scanning. So even when they have panel interviews, they always keep CVs of people, even when positions are not yet available, and they revisit. So they always have a database of people, and they're always scanning the environment. So you'll be surprised. We sometimes think that the private sector is leading. You'll find that there is a lot happening in state-owned and government institutions. Sometimes it may not always come through, especially when there's government interference in some things. But in terms of some of the practices, that there are people who are starting to be forward-thinking and progressive, that they don't always have to get in people who are in their network. They need to be more diverse than just being comfortable with their friends around the table.
And are there some data-driven tools to track progress and measure the impact of diverse boardrooms?
The research has been done for decades. This is the thing. Diversity, it was even my MBA thesis. Research has been done on the benefit of diversity and the impact it has on the bottom line. It's now like such old news that we don't even refer to it anymore because the business case has been made over and over. The one that I should love as a young person studying this area, because I've been interested, was the Nike case study, where until they had a female board member, most of us don't actually remember that they did, well, we were too young or didn't exist, that they didn't have female apparel. They really didn't have female apparel until there was a board member, a female board member who inspired the idea. And over time, that became a huge part. I think it was 50% or even more of their profits and income came from female apparel.
Oh, man.
So that is the benefit of having diversity. So can you imagine if you look at religion, you look at race, you look at generations, how many more ideas these boards would have, and companies will be doing amazing things.
And I think these are, like you mentioned, that's essential skills for a modern boardroom. We also talk about leadership culture undervaluing soft skills. Tell us about that.
And why are we even calling them soft skills? Because we know they're hard. dealing with human beings.
They're hard
Anytime, anything, any aspect of life that infuses a human being brings in complexity. But because a lot of this lingo comes from the influence of finance, so it's financial skills are seen to be hard skills, but they're not actually hard skills because they're kind of technical, and you can learn you can learn what the balance sheet is and how to put that together. A human being is more difficult, and that is actually one of the areas that we have an opportunity to still outbeat AI, because that is an aspect where creativity, discernment, a sense of judgment. I mean, we all talk about the hallucinating AI. Have you ever tried to ask ChatGPT to do your profile in terms of your bio? You should try it and see how accurate it is.
Really? Are you being sarcastic?
I'm being really serious.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, because there are still aspects of technology where you, us as humans, are still the ones that still need to input and drive. So our area of soft skills, because I think technology can mimic sympathy, empathy, but a human being is still the one where you're really going to feel the genuineness of that emotion.
Oh man, that's and like you said, why are we calling it soft skills? Because it's hard, that empathy, that listening, that cross-generational collaboration, and it's so underrated, and AI cannot replicate that as we humans do.
At the moment, not. I'm not going to undermine it. I have no idea what is going to be coming up in the future. But for now, I'm also, because obviously, even I'm not immune to being displaced by AI. So I'm also it's in my interest to keep on asking myself, what is it about the human intelligence that I can keep on improving so that I can remain competitive, so that it complements me and does not take over my life.
Oh, Dudum Somi, thank you for reminding us, man, that real leadership and what real leadership is about. It's about also preparing others to lead. Thank you very much, Dudum Somi, Transformative Leadership and Board Development Program Designer, leading us to the news. That's the headlines with Khulufelo Tefo.
Thank you, Zai. In the headlines, the SAWA EFF leader Julius Malema has accused MK Party leader Jacob Zuma of being pretentious about his call for black unity. This follows Zuma's long-standing call for unity amongst black and like-minded parties. President Cyril Ramaphosa has signed a proclamation for the Special Investigating Unit to investigate allegations of maladministration and corruption at the Sector Education and Training Authority. And further, field hospital directors in Gaza say overnight Israeli strikes have killed at least 54 people. I'll have details of this and other stories at 3.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.1 FM in Johannesburg. This program is brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives.
Hi everyone, my name is Yolanda Mzobe. I am 11 years old. Yes, I do speak more than one language, which is Zulu, English, Afrikaans, and Xhosa. What language would I like to learn? Pedi. Why? Because most of my friends speak Pedi. I think learning other language can help you make new friends or understand other cultures better. Because what if you meet a new person and you want to make a friend and that person speaks Venda or a different language? How will you be able to speak to that person? I think it is important to celebrate African languages because we inspire future generations. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Hi guys, my name is Kate. The language that I use at home is English. The language that I prefer to use at home is English. Why, you might be asking? Well, I find English is easier for me, and I'm so used to speaking English that I just speak English without even thinking about it. And I just enjoy and prefer speaking English than any other languages. Except my home language, any South African language I can speak is Afrikaans. I'm not fluent at all. I do take Afrikaans at school, so I know a couple things in Afrikaans, but I'm not fluent at all. But if someone said a simple question or something like that, I'll be able to comprehend what they're saying and answer it, but probably not in Afrikaans, in English, because I'm not fluent at all. And my Afrikaans teachers taught me how to speak Afrikaans. I don't expect anybody to know any other languages, even though it would be great for you to know another language. Thank you so much.
Guys, my name is Prophet King David Igena Eza, and I'm 11 years old. I speak one language, but I can hear various languages. For example, Afrikaans and Zulu and Igbo, which is my native language. The reason I want to learn Zulu is because it's gonna help me speak to my friends that I have. The way it can help me make new friends is those new friends I'm about to make, you might know that language or will speak that language as their native language, and if we speak it, it can make us friends, relate to each other through our languages and culture. And also through that language, that language might be from a culture, so people that speak that language can teach us their culture and make us know their cultures better. The reason I think it's important to celebrate African languages and cultures during Africa Month is because it preserves our heritage and it enhances our communication and relationships as Africans. Thank you.
I am Lorraine Moyo. The most spoken language in Africa is Swahili. It is followed by Yoruba, Igbo, Fula, and English. These languages are official languages in the Western, Central, Eastern, and Southern Africa. In South Africa, we have 11 official languages. Learning all the South African languages helps us understand one another as a country. Therefore, learning the most spoken languages in Africa will help us communicate better when we visit other African countries. Learning those languages and having them as official languages in South Africa is a good idea. Honestly, I've never thought of learning other African languages, but I think it is good to learn them. Thank you.
My name is Duratang Ndlovu, and I go to Mokoli House School. Yes, I do think some of these languages should be added as official languages in South Africa. South Africa already has 11 official languages, and adding more languages would make sense, as we use more than 11 languages in South Africa. Also, we could learn to communicate with other Africans. Yes, I have thought about learning Kiswahili, as many people speak it in Africa.
Hello friends and happy Monday. Did you know that Africa is home to over 2,000 languages? That's right, from Zulu to Swahili, Xhosa to Yoruba. Our continent is full of rich and beautiful languages that each tell a story of our people, our places, and our culture. So let me ask you something interesting. Do you speak more than one language? Maybe you speak English and also your home language? That's amazing. Speaking more than one language is a superpower. It helps you understand people better, connect with others, and even learn more easily. Now, if you could choose any African language to learn, what would it be? Maybe you'd like to speak Kiswahili, which is spoken by millions across East Africa, or perhaps isiXhosa with its cool clicks. But here's something very important. Your home language matters most. It's a part of who you are. Learning to speak, read, and write in your home language can help you connect better with your family. It's a part of who you are. Learning to speak, read, and write in your home language can help you connect better with your family, understand your culture more deeply, and pass on stories and traditions that have been shared for generations. So how can you learn your home language better? Well, read storybooks in your home language. Listen to music or sing songs in your language. Ask your grandparents or parents to teach you words and meanings. Draw and label pictures using your home language. Practice speaking it every day at home, even if it's just a few words. This month, Africa Month, is the perfect time to celebrate our languages and traditions. Share a story from your culture. Ask your family to teach you about your roots. Let's be proud of the many ways we speak and express ourselves as Africans. Every language is special, and every culture deserves to be celebrated. So as we wrap up Africa Month, speak, sing, learn, and love your African identity. And don't forget to learn and treasure your home languages too. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning. Bye for now.
This program was brought to you by SABC Education, enriching minds, enriching lives. This May, SAFM celebrates Africa Month with you as we honor the legacy of the Organization of African Unity. We bring you rich conversations and stories that shape the continent. Join us as we celebrate African pride, unity, and progress. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana.
As a country, we have been able to identify what the problem with our relationship with the US is that has resulted in the situation we find ourselves in today.
The South African government and, of course, especially President Ramaphosa, they completely misunderstand what the problem is. They don't understand at all what it is that the Americans are concerned about in terms of South Africa. In the eyes of the Americans, South Africa is part of the West.
Moeletsi Mbeki, political analyst and chairperson of the South African Institute of International Affairs.
The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday. Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105 FM in Mokopane. You are listening to The Full Circle.
It is The Full Circle, 19 away from 3 o'clock, and we are tick-tocking down to digital technology. And, you know, digital technology has promised us a lot of things. It's promised us progress, productivity, profit, but there's a cost. As AI, data, and surveillance are shaping our lives more than ever, it's time to pause and ask, who is really benefiting? Joining us now is Professor Vishwas Satka, editor of Digital Capitalism and Its Limits. And there's a powerful challenge to be unchecked, or that is being unchecked, as there's a rise of techno-utopias. I have no idea what that means, but let's just call in Professor Satka. Professor Satka, what a great idea for a book. What sparked all of this?
Yes, first, thank you for having me on your show to have this very, very important and serious conversation. But there's different reasons for kind of putting out a critical resource like this, which is what I would call a critique that's not anti-technology, but it's a critique that is getting us to think more deeply about how these technologies are being embedded in our lives, how they are shaping our lives, and how they shaping our social world more generally, and our relationship with the earth, actually. So we've seen after World War II the emergence of computers. We've seen the internet, and of course, the desktop computer, and now, the kind of digital phone, and so on and so on. But there's something else happening. There's a larger shift happening, which this book defines as the digital shift. And that means it's relating to the proliferation of a whole set of technologies, the idea of 3D printers, quantum computing, AI, as you mentioned, artificial general intelligence, and so on. And that these technologies are being vaunted as, if you like, the big game changers of our time. These are technologies that are now explicitly promising to solve all the big problems that we are facing: inequality, unemployment, climate change, etc., etc. But that's one part of it. And in this book, we are saying, let's pull the brake. Let's really ask questions about innovation and technology. The societies we live in have produced technologies with similar promises. You had the Titanic. It wasn't meant to sink, but it did sink, You had the Hindenburg, which was the big balloon, and that thing blew up, etc. So all the time, there are technologies that proliferate in our societies, but a lot of them don't work. A lot of them come short. They have limits, and they have costs. So that's one of the reasons why we put out this book. The other reason we put out this book is that it's not just about technology. It's about the change that this is trying to bring about. Now, this is where we are trying to ask, from the standpoint of critical analysis, these corporations that are driving these technologies, where do they want to take this? Where do they want to take our societies? Okay, what is their imaginary? And we call it technotopia. That was the word that you used, right? And we use it in the title. Technotopia refers to three things, basically. Firstly, it refers to their kind of vision of where society should go, okay? And right now, the debates in Silicon Valley amongst these big monopolies, Facebook, X, and so on, is that as humans, we can use this technology to master everything, okay? And therefore, it's a moment of us growing up as people. And if you follow the logic of this, well, imagine having implants in your brain. Imagine transitioning humans to become part of some sort of cyber hive consciousness and so on. These are the debates going on there about where they want to take our species and even more than human life. And we feel that that vision has to be questioned. The second thing about technotopia is that it believes that computational reality can solve everything, okay? So you just unleash AI. Now, we've seen what Doge, which is what Elon Musk has been doing in the American government. He doesn't understand with his team how the American state works, the complex state, etc. But he sat with a few geeks and nerds sitting in front of their computers, and they just fired people by email and WhatsApp, etc., okay? Creating a deeper crisis in that state. So again, computational reality is very different from actual reality. And I think that's the other point we are making about technotopia. Because, if you think that you're going to just Google the answers to climate change or inequality, I'm sorry, you're going to come short, ladies and gentlemen. The third thing about technotopia is that these are dual-use technologies, okay? So they are sold to us as benign, they're easy to use, they're good for all of us, okay? So yes, with a 3D printer, you can produce a little manufacturing unit, for example. But you can also produce a firearm that can kill people around you, and so on. Drones, yes, drones can be used in scientific research, etc., but they can also deliver payloads that kill innocent people, okay? So again, there's cause for pause here for us to stop as a society and really think more deeply about where is this technotopian vision of these big monopolies trying to take us. So that's the sort of reasons behind this volume and the conversations we want to incite.
So let's clarify, okay? What's the difference between technotopia and techno-realism?
Right. So technotopia is what I've been describing, right? It's the kind of vision. It's this kind of obsession with, sort of digital intelligence and capacity. And of course, it's underplaying the kind of negatives. On the other side is techno-realism. And techno-realism is what premises and anchors this book, which is it's saying, let's question technotopia. let's question this idea that techno supremacy over everything, mastery of everything is a good thing. Okay, and who's going to control that, right? And who's going to ensure we have mastery? So we're asking that kind of question. We are asking also, well, the world we live in, live on, and that we are part of is very, very complex. Okay. And we haven't been able, even through the social sciences, the most advanced natural sciences we don't have all the secrets of this universe and so on. And maybe that's a good thing, okay? Because, as humans, the curiosity that we have for this world we inhabit, the wonder around us, is something that is very, very important for who we are, okay? So, again, we are saying, why create an artificial general intelligence that's going to be autonomous, that's going to be a superior intelligence to the human, and which can make any kind of decision, and there's serious dangers there, right? This autonomous intelligence could decide one day, well, humans are the problem, and if it's controlling all the systems in our societies, this could lead to some very, very ugly outcomes. On the other hand, the same autonomous intelligence could decide, well, it's just going to go rogue, okay? And it's going to be disruptive on its own terms, okay? Now, once it's autonomous, it's autonomous. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle. The third thing about this is that it could be used by very pernicious and dangerous forces. This technology can be used to destabilize systems in countries. Now, Russia has used this very effectively in its invasion of Ukraine. It's been doing this actually for a very, very long time. We had Transnet, for example, experiencing a cyber attack, and it shut down all its systems, okay? Now, this is beginning to happen more and more. So we are saying from a techno-realist perspective, we need to be asking deeper questions about this. Now, all software, by the way, that's been designed, everything that's running your phone, running your car, etc., has a thing called a zero day in it. That means, despite all the coding, every code and every software has a glitch in it, okay? And that means that glitch is an entry point into your car, into your cell phone, etc. Now, right now, there's a dark market for these 0 days. And actually, security agencies, particularly the U.S. one, is buying up all these 0 days. Now, this was researched by a New York Times journalist. So basically, they want to weaponize even this digital kind of infrastructure that we are developing in our society. So again, from a techno-realist perspective, we are saying, let's pause as a society, let's canvass the dangers, the risks, the ethical concerns, and not reject everything, but maybe some technologies need to be rejected because they are not in the interest of human and modern human life. Maybe some technologies need to be democratized, and maybe we need to think about the ethical basis of design, of application, of everyday use, and so on. And we're living in a democracy, and these technologies are having dramatic transformatory impacts in our society, and our democracy needs to deliberate on this.
Professor, very important what you're saying, and I love the challenge where we're challenging the truths, and plenty of us need to reflect on this. We're going to go for a quick breather. There's no glitch in the matrix, I promise you. We'll be coming right back with your insights.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, or unfair blacklisting, Clientele legal plans are affordable, and you receive up to 670,000 rands worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our legal team will be your support 24 hours a day. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and a licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Every murder has a moment when it could have been stopped. Countdown to Murder takes you inside the chilling timeline from ordinary days to unthinkable crimes. Real stories, real people, and the final hours before everything fell apart. Countdown to Murder. Every second tells a story. Thursdays at 9 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
We don't always talk on good news days. Today is one of those days which is not good news because of the 1 percentage point increase. Explain how you got there.
We had 17.1 million people who were employed. Now that number went down by 291,000. We are now sitting at 16.8 million people that are employed. And then the unemployed who are actively looking for employment in the fourth quarter that is ending December were 8 million. They have gone up by 237,000 to 8.2 million. So now that the number of the employed has gone down and the number of the unemployed has gone up, we end up with the unemployment rate increasing.
Senga Maluleke, the Statistician General.
You're listening to the National Pulse. Missed it? Find the podcast at safm.co.za. Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
Welcome back to the Full Circle with me, Zai Khan. We're still in conversation with Professor Viswas Satka, unpacking the uncomfortable truths behind this whole digital capitalism and what is a just people-centered tech future and what it could look like. So let's pick off from where we left off. We were transitioning between, utopia and looking at tech realism. And we want to ask the Prof some another pertinent question about whether he has seen a society or a country where tech realism has progressed and is a good example.
Very good question. So in different parts of the world, particularly over the past 2 decades, for example, we've seen societies getting increasingly concerned with the deleterious impacts of social media on young people, okay? So in Australia, certain European countries, there have been some raging debates about this, okay? Some people have taken positions that social media should be prohibited up to a certain age. Australia has had this debate. I think the debate happened in, I can't remember which European country. But we're concerned around, the psychological state of young people has come to the fore, and so on. So I'm giving you, just one example of a concern. Now, this thing is moving very, very fast, okay? This digital shift is happening at a rapid pace. And as a result, our policymakers, our democratic rulers and leaders are actually behind the curve, which is part of the problem we're having, okay? So right now, society is reacting. There's a backlash on different fronts, okay? But we're not having the kind of deliberative, deep, inclusive democratic debates around our concerns. There are concerns around a whole host of things. Let me give you a couple of other examples. So, this idea of developing autonomous general intelligence and roboticized soldiers, for example. Now, in modern warfare, there have been 2 constraints that have limited how far it can go. I mean, the one is body bags of soldiers, and the other, of course, is the death of citizens. And if you go the route of roboticized warfare, okay, that means you're giving the power to determine life and death to a drone, to an actual robot that's marching on a battlefield, to a tank, to a satellite, etc. Okay? Now, the UN Red Cross and the UN General Secretary as well have rallied to make a call to global society, again, to think about this. Where is this taking us to? And the perspective coming out is that, okay, we're going to go to permanent warfare. Okay, and this is a very, very serious thing. It sounds like sort of Hollywood kind of movie kind of stuff, but we are on the cusp of this. I mean, the military-industrial complexes in the global north are thinking about this. Let me give you another example of these digital currencies we've had. Okay, Bitcoin and so on. In the United States, they've been largely unregulated. All right, and they've been able to do whatever they want. And as a result, you've had some of the biggest financial scams in the history of the United States, like $10 billion with Bank Friedman, and he's in prison now. But the state was forced to respond to that situation. People lost a lot of money, etc. And now there's a debate amongst regulators around, okay, how are we going to deal with this? Of course, Trump's in the White House, and he's very pro this stuff. So he's not going to regulate it. They've paid money into his campaign, etc. Now that brings high risks to ordinary people who are being enticed to put their savings, put their scarce resources into Bitcoin and other kinds of investments. Where are the checks and balances? Where are the protections and so on? So my point is this, is that yes, I can't point to a full-blown society that is having these debates. Europe has an architecture. It's thinking much more carefully than other societies. We have a chapter in the book that deals with the riddle of regulation, but also in the African context. We have democracies, and we also need to be having democratic deliberation on regulatory architecture, what we want, what we don't want, what minimizes risks for our society, what limits consequences and harms, and so on.
And I mean, it begs so many questions, like what is the alternative to this current trajectory that we are on? But I know, Prof, you've got a book launch tomorrow, 4 p.m., is it right? On Zoom, and it's on the Wits University Press Facebook page.
Correct. 4 p.m. And I invite the public to please come on board to join this conversation, which our country and our democracy urgently needs.
All right. That was Professor Vishwa Satka, and the book, what can I say? It has been, we literally just scraped the surface of it. That's all I can tell you. Very, very basics. And it's about surveillance to sustainability, digital capitalism, and its limits. Thank you to the Prof for quite an eye-opening conversation, I must say, and for insisting that we imagine, we demand better. And that's how we are going to wrap up the show right here on The Full Circle with me, Zai Khan. Thank you for being part of this very, very thoughtful journey from, I think we had food justice, boardroom courage, to the heart of the digital debate, to our brilliant guests and our incredible listeners, as well as my producer Tosh and Intabising, keeping the circle full. Until I see you next time, be kind, be conscious, and keep questioning. And you can continue the conversation with us on WhatsApp 061-410-4107 or X us at SAFM Radio. From me, Zai Khan, it's cheers for now. We'll head straight to the news desk where Kulufelo Tefu standing by to bring you the latest.
Thank you, Zai. Top stories. The Sawa Malema denounces Zuma's call for black unity and Ramaphosa orders corruption probe at CETA. Good afternoon. EFF leader Julius Malema has accused MKP party Jacob Zuma of being pretentious about his call for black unity. This follows Zuma's long-standing call for unity amongst black and like-minded parties. In its formative stages, the MKP worked with